Jonathan's Vice Admiral tip of the day. I've caught them in my net. Checkmate. Wait, which metaphors do I prefer?
We've got 7 crew members here to have an adventure. Cross the Grand Line with you.
Woohoo!
We'll cross the Grand Line and have a grand time as we make our dreams come true.
Yeah.
We'll ride the knock-up stream to achieve our dreams. Together we watch season 3.
Yeah! Start the show. Hola, bienvenidos al podcast Rey de K. Mi nombre es Joel. Welcome to King of the What Now. We're a One Piece podcast that are watching One Piece from the very beginning.
Episode 64.
Episode 64 of One Piece. I recently took a trip abroad. It was great, and now I'm trying to learn Spanish again, although I already knew it from college. Anyways, last time we left, Curtis was in he had been changing a little bit at the end of last week's episode. We took him to the doctor, we took some DNA tests, and it turns out this is just perfectly normal for people who are going through One Piece. Somehow, Catherine and I had forgotten our own experience with this, but, wait's this? I think Curtis is hatching. Welcome to the world, everyone!
I have wings!
Curtis has grown wings, as has been known to happen when you do a podcast and you cover more than 200 episodes of the anime. So now, Curtis, your official title, I can't remember what we decided. Was it?
I don't know, I was in the cocoon.
It was
I don't
casual.
It was casual?
Yeah, he's a One Piece casual now.
Okay. Folks, I apologize. Even though these episodes come out 1 week at a time, sometimes we record them in batches or whatever, so it's actually been a while since we discussed what was going to happen with that thrilling plot thread. Anyways, I'm your host, Joel. I'm a longtime fan of the One Piece series, and my role here is classified. And my hobbies, classified. My opinions of these episodes, classified.
Hey, Joel, what's your favorite color?
Classified.
We did this bit. What if that one gets voted as the cold open?
That's okay.
All right.
Oh, and I am Curtis. I am the newly minted and winged casual fan of One Piece.
You've made it! Your journey, you've come so far!
Oh, thank
Pop
you.
that champagne, send over some sparklers.
Okay.
Do you not celebrate with sparklers and champagne?
I thought sparklers was just like a 4th of July thing.
No, some people do it for other activities.
Oh, okay.
Moving on. Catherine, have you... Wait, did you not...
didn't finish his because he
No,
was
you
being
guys-
a doofus.
Oh, okay, we'll go on.
Yeah, so I have a pediatrician who is clearly not qualified to perform surgery. And so I'm justifiably scared to do it. But these strangers have forced me to.
The power of friendship.
When you're a Marine, you get trained in all of the things you might need to do. I'm Kat, I'm the ghost of the show, and I'm also Vice Admiral. Strong, powerful, good at chess, also fishing. I'm better than you.
Yes, absolutely. This is our 64th episode of the podcast, and we watched every single episode of the G-8 arc. And let me tell you, it was a journey. We specifically gave ourselves more time between recordings in order to watch them, and we, instead of our usual recording time, we got together and we just marathoned a couple of them just in a row while we figured things out. This also technically brings an end to the Sky Island Saga, although we already kind of gave our thoughts on it last episode, and I don't really consider the G-8 to be part of that saga. But technically, if you look on the wiki, that's what it says, so perfect.
It's kind of our in-between business.
Yeah, well, and so Curtis, you don't know this, but we know because we watch like the first 5 minutes of the next episode, but we get a new opening, so I think that's specifically why people might consider...
A new opening. They never do that in One Piece.
Never ever. All right, so Curtis, why don't you hit us with your succinct summary?
All right.
But also, please don't hit us. Please just say it.
Yeah. Just, readers, keep in mind that I did actually force-feed Curtis succinct summary juice. It's a experimental technology, so we're going to have to see how it plays out.
All right. There were pirates. It was fun.
Joel,
Right.
you fool. That wasn't succinct summary juice. That was robot juice.
Oh, no!
Beep boop my bones.
Here, let me drink the other one. Okay, now I'm good. All right. So, the Strawhats. Last we saw, they were in Sky Island. They were falling. They landed in the middle of this marine base. They were split up. They donned various disguises so as not to be caught, but a couple of them were caught. There were escapes. they got back together only to find that their gold had been taken by the Marines who had impounded their ship briefly. So then they split back up, went searching for the gold and also the waiver that Robin had hid.
Robin had hid it?
That Nami had hid earlier. And then they got back together. They escaped, but they did so using the same octopus that had brought them down to the Blue Sea. They reinflated it and they flew away.
Where was that octopus being kept this whole arc?
I would rather not say.
I'll say it. It was in his pants. Why, Luffy? Why was the octopus in your pants?
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you keep stuff?
Well, I'm a woman, so my pants don't have pockets large enough to hold anything.
In an anime world, women have magical breast pockets. That's where Nami keeps her climate attacked, and so...
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, yeah, we finished the G-8 arc. Really thought someone was going to yes and me on that skit, but I guess not all of them can be winners.
I like that, because that describes both your jokes, but also the people around you.
You get a loser sticker, and you get a loser sticker.
Yay, I lost it. I won at losing.
Yes, perfect. All right, so Curtis, let's just hit us with your overall impression of these episodes. Did you like them? Did you hate them?
I actually enjoyed them somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting having them split up, and the various shenanigans that they got into on their own was enjoyable. Mm-hmm. Like, they were kind of like nice little encapsulated episodes that you could watch, and you got a beginning, middle, and end all in the one episode, which is not something we've gotten in a while in One Piece. So it was nice. And
they all kind of got to do like their own specialty.
Yeah.
Nami was running around tricking people, and Robin doing research, and
I like how
Sanji's cooking, Chopper's doctoring.
Yeah, exactly. No, there was a lot of good Straw Hat buffoonery.
I really like these episodes as well. You have some pretty good characters that, like, you really get to know Dr. Kabuto and Jessica and Jonathan, and I'm looking it up now, and apparently the mechanic's name is Macau? Anyways, that guy. I know
Macao, I think is his name.
Macao, yeah. The older shipwright dude. And even Shepard, or as he's known, the legendary Condoriano. Even he's memorable for different reasons than the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
Like, he's memorable.
What were your guys' favorite?
Well, hang on, Catherine, how'd you like these episodes?
Oh, yeah! I loved them.
Okay.
I think they were better the first time I watched them. Going back and kind of rewatching some old stuff is hard because I know what the new stuff is like. But there were moments that I really appreciated, and I feel like the characters were fleshed out in a way that I really liked.
Yeah.
So,
like Curtis said, you had these individual episodes, and it was great because you got time to breathe with each of these characters.
Yes.
You were going to ask a question. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say really quick, it felt nice coming down off of Sky Island. Like, the world wasn't in danger in this. Millions of people weren't going to die. It was just shenanigans in a Marine base. Yes. So it was good. I was going to say, we had all of these things where the crew was split up and they were each doing their own thing. So what were your favorite side things that they were doing?
And I assume you mean before they all met up and started the operation. Curtis, we'll let you, as the casual, to answer that question first.
That is a good question.
Oh, but we do need to kind of go over the different side quests just to refresh our viewers who maybe didn't watch these episodes or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first one that comes to mind for me was Sanji and Luffy end up going to the kitchen because of course they do, because Luffy's hungry. And they end up getting mistaken for two chefs that were coming from Rijua, or whatever it's called, Marine headquarters. And they end up impersonating these chefs, and Sanji ends up proving his skills as a chef.
They get into a cooking contest again, because what else do you do with Sanji?
And even though Jessica is, married to Jonathan, she's the head chef there, I kind of get the feeling like this is kind of the closest that Sanji's ever gotten to actually impressing a woman, and so I kind of also like it for that reason.
Perfect.
I also, the two other chefs,
Yeah.
They disappear and they never come back.
No, they did come back briefly. It turned out they were incompetent in the kitchen.
Yeah, because remember they always had people to do their work for them, so they didn't even know how to peel a potato. And Jessica was just like, "Are you kidding?"
Oh, that's what that was. Okay, I'm missing.
Those two are forgettable because they're just background.
Going back to the side quests, though, we also had Nami first pretending to be a janitor and then a nurse, where she joined Chopper in the surgery suite. We had Robin wandering around in disguise as Commander Shepard. We had Zoro in jail. And we had Usopp briefly pretending to be a Marine recruit and then also in jail.
Mm-hmm. I would say... So I liked the joke of Nami because she was constantly like, she put on a uniform and it looked like she was a custodian. And then they were like, clean this room. And she's like, well, I'm not doing this. I need to change disguises. So she changed and now she's a nurse. And then she gets pulled away again. She's like, it doesn't matter what I wear. It's always a problem.
Why do I have to keep doing work? I'm just a millennial who wants to be on my phone all day.
Oh, no. Dad, I want to go ride my waiver.
So that was funny. But I would say the Chopper one, like the section where Nami is the nurse, Chopper is the doctor, and they are working with, what's her
Dr.
face?
Kabuto. Or Kabato, sorry. That's Kabato. An A, not an O.
But okay. She's basically the Pokemon, anyway.
Yes. That was probably my favorite one. I liked the absurdity of the pediatrician like being talked into doing this surgery, and they just kind of like look over the fact that she probably doesn't know how to do any of this. And
yeah, she probably like closed her eyes during that part of medical school.
Yeah, but I like how squeamish she was up front, and then Chopper inspired her, and she got over her squeamishness, and she was like a true doctor at that point.
So
that was a good one.
Make the cherry blossoms bloom in the heart of the people she saved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. There are some issues with these episodes that we can get into later, and pacing is kind of one of them. I feel as though that part when Chopper was like, "Oh, here's my backstory," and she just suddenly got over it. I understand what they were going for, but at the same time, I wasn't like the biggest fan of how abbreviated it was. Like, she heard this one story and now she's done a complete change.
It would have been cool if she had been like, I can try, and we'd kind of seen her struggling as she was doing this surgery.
Yeah.
Joel, would you say the Chopper stuff was also your favorite?
I really liked Dr. Kabuto, for sure. She eventually figures out that they are, in fact, pirates, but she doesn't really care because she can see how kind they are and such. And in other episodes, that's kind of how it feels as well, but it was well done with her. I loved her over-the-top acting. Robin gets a shout-out, though, for being so competent. She took out the actual Marine Inspector, Shepard, and she took him out without him ever seeing her. She put him in a box where he wasn't going to be discovered for some time. And then, so Usopp pretended to be a recruit. And then when he said that he was from, Marine Division 8, the sniper unit, they're like, 8's not a sniper unit. He ended up getting taken before Jonathan.
Well, and because he was like, haha, I caught you. I'm actually the inspector.
Well, so they took him to Jonathan. And Jonathan said, who are you? Who are you really? And he was like, that's classified. And then eventually Jonathan went, there was an inspector coming. So that's why Usopp didn't come up with that lie off the top of his head. He heard it and he was like, yes, that's me. I am the inspector. In comes Robin. She goes, I'm the inspector. And Usopp goes, and I'm your assistant, right? And Robin just looks at him and goes, I've never seen this man in my life. And he goes,
Stone cold. Which is exactly who Robin is. Like, she doesn't even know his name. Why would she bother lying for him?
Well, and we're eventually told that it was safer for him to go to jail where Zoro was. And also, if they were supposed to be working together and he did something stupid, it would jeopardize her mission. So I think she was very focused on protecting herself. So I like Robin's bit a little bit too. But yeah, Chopper's had the strongest through line, the most emotional connection with the viewer.
I had the most fun with Luffy and Sanji in the kitchen. Okay. So we'll probably get into it later, how Luffy was very much sidelined in these episodes. Like, he didn't really serve much of a role at all in the kitchen. He was just in the background eating things, and every so often there would be a bit about, stop eating all the food! But Sanji trying to impress Jessica and being unable to leave the kitchen because she kept giving him work to do was just really funny and very in character for Sanji. I also liked that he taught the chefs at Navarone the lesson where you need to use all of the parts of the food because food is precious at sea.
Yeah, you both made jokes about Sanji having to do a cooking contest, because what else could you do with Sanji? But it was slightly different because the previous cooking contest that we saw, which was filler with Carmen, was just they both cooked and he cooked better. This one was he waited till they were done and used their scraps to make a more delicious meal, and that's just like the ultimate form of being owned by a cook, I would assume. And so that was pretty good.
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. You take all the things that you think are worthless and turn them into something that's better than the stuff you made with the most valuable parts of the food.
Absolutely.
Going back to what you guys were saying about Chopper and Nami's bit being kind of the most emotional and having the most fun with it, I really liked the scene where they pretended to take Dr. Kabuto hostage.
Yes.
And Chopper was pretending to be a bad guy.
Oh my god. First off, they told her, they were like, how are you going to help us? You know, you're a Marine, we're pirates. And she goes, I'll just pretend that I was captured. And the scream that she gives off on camera when she shows up, so over the top and so brilliant. Like, that's an ear-piercing scream.
I've been captured by pirates! And then in the background, as Zoro is doing this, like, I've got these girls hostage, Zoro's just standing there applauding.
Yes, when Chopper goes, I make even babies cry, and Zoro is just very polite. Oh, very good.
He looks so proud of his little brother. Well, and Luffy off in the corner is like, Chopper, I thought you were less cowardly than that. Like, Luffy is angry that Chopper would take hostages. He's not smart enough to see through it.
I'm realizing now there was a difference in the translations between the subbed and the dubbed.
Yeah, what was yours?
Because they didn't say anything about the baby thing. They had like I could snap their necks like twigs or something, and then I think Chopper or Luffy just said, "Chopper, I'm so disappointed in you" or something like that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, minor differences that come up from time to time.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that, like, Luffy would never think to take hostages, and he was angry that one of his crew would.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have one more thought before we go into our world-famous ad segment. Curtis, you seem to think that these episodes were filler? Is that true? Do you still believe that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you go into your thinking on that?
Step into my what is it called? A mind pyramid? Mind
castle, I think. Also, you forgot, I'm just realizing this now, like 20 minutes later. 20 minutes ago was Curtis's succinct summary!
We're gonna open the door and step into your brain sauna.
It's my mind palace.
Oh, that's right. That's what it's called from Sherlock.
Step into my mind palace.
All right.
Okay. First sign, Jonathan and Shepard and Jessica. Whenever we get plain English names for characters, filler. Instant filler.
Johnny and Yasuku.
Johnny had Yasuku introduced alongside him. I think that's an exception.
Okay.
Also, I think Johnny's like far enough off. We had Johnny versus Jonathan. I don't know. But with the exception of Johnny.
Robin. I'm sorry, I'm just giving you a hard time
She's
now.
named after a bird. Like smoker is an English word, but it's smoker, huh? It's like weird and funny.
There's precedence for Robin and How I Met Your Mother, although Robin from One Piece was out before that, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyways.
Okay, so names. That's evidence
That's
number
the first one. And then we started having the crew members splitting off, right? And then doing their own thing. But it was a lot of rehashing of their characters. So like Sanji, I don't waste any food. I use every piece. And Chopper was like the whole, a doctor can cure any illness sort of thing. And then the nail in the coffin was the final episode when they departed in the same state they arrived in. They left the base also flying, so that way they could crash again somewhere else, land somewhere else, which I don't know if they crashed or landed in the manga. Sure. Doesn't matter. But so that way they could neatly meet back up with the main storyline. They have all their gold again. Even
they're back in the air.
They're back in the air, and then even because they damaged the ship running aground on the coral, as they're flying, you hear Usopp go, "I'll fix the ship, or I'll fix the hull of the ship right now." It's like, I'll patch up all the holes that were just generated from this filler arc. And also on top of that, while there was like, I think minor world building things, that's something they could have pulled from elsewhere in the anime, and it wasn't vital to like the continuation. It wasn't like plotly relevant right now.
Sure,
right?
We didn't discover that Robin has a secret twin that's been captured by the government and that needs to be saved. Also, her fruit power is the lasagna no mi. She has the power to create lasagna.
Interesting. I'm going to write Oda and ask him if he's ever considered that kind of devil fruit. I think that's all compelling reasoning. And I will say, officially, this arc's official designation is filler.
Hooray!
I don't think it is. I think it's canon.
All right, can you give us an explanation?
I was going to ask where you sat first, but...
It definitely counts as filler from a technical point of view as you adjust your glasses and look up the dictionary. This is content that wasn't in the manga. However, G-8 is, from what I've seen, is the best anime filler that has ever been produced by One Piece. I watched all filler. Well, I skipped the rain. Actually, so I skipped a lot of filler. But I saw this arc, and I saw another arc that I both think are good enough to contend with maybe not the best episodes of anime, but some of the
average episodes.
The average episodes. But I haven't seen future filler, like past episode 600 or something, so maybe one of those came out and people are like, oh my god, this is so amazing! But as far as I know, the community's consensus is G8 is the best filler to have ever been written.
When I was looking for a picture of Robin in her Commander Shepard outfit, I searched Robin Marine One Piece, and I actually got a picture of her in a different Marine outfit that's even more fantastic from some other filler arc we haven't seen.
Oh, interesting.
So that was great. But yeah, I say it's canon, and the reason I say that is because Oda wrote it.
What? Did he?
G8 Oda wrote, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
If you've read that somewhere, cool.
Oof,
maybe.
I hope I'm correct. Please don't come after me with pitchforks if I'm wrong. But for now, I'm going to say Oda wrote it. And it had significant foreshadowing for other things. The big one was the repairman bringing up the ghost that Usopp saw on the ship. What was that mysterious spooky man? But then also Akainu being mentioned. And Curtis, I will let you take away the context that this mysterious person was mentioned in.
Akainu or the ghost?
Akainu. We'll get back to the ghost in a minute.
Akainu was mentioned when Vice Admiral Jonathan was talking with his second in command, I think, afterwards about so-and-so was right about the Strawhats. And I'm assuming Akainu is from higher up in the Marines. I don't know if we saw them already. They might have been in that one little bit we got where I think it was right at the beginning of the Sky Island arc.
Where we saw the different Marine people. We have not seen Akainu yet.
Okay.
Do you... Now, you spoke a bit of Japanese. You went there for a time. Do you recognize anything about the name Akainu, perhaps? If you were to take the 6 letters and split it into 2 words that were each 3 letters, you would get Aka and Inu. Do you know what that means?
Oh, Red Dog.
Yes. Akainu is a character who will be mentioned by name eventually. I actually don't... We're very soon going to get one of the people at his rank. But I don't know if we're going to get all 3 of their names at that moment. But they are all named, it's Red Dog, Blue Pheasant, and Yellow Monkey.
Oh, okay.
And they're all from Journey to the West, I believe. Like, that, they're references to that.
Exactly, yeah. And because Oda bases his character designs off of real people, I believe all 3 of them are based off of famous Japanese stage actors, I think. I'd have to look up the wiki.
Somebody sent me a picture of Yellow Monkey the other day.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
like, him and his work. And it's like, wow, that's...
They're very close representations of their real life counterparts.
Interesting.
But anyways, Akainu is a really fascinating character, and yes, these are filler, but they clearly worked with Oda to get that name ahead of time, because that's not a name that we're going to hear for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that was set up.
Mm-hmm.
When did this come out? Like, how far ahead was the manga when this came
don't
out?
know how to look that up. I mean, I guess I could look up when the episodes came out.
The episodes came out in 2004.
Okay.
So I guess what chapter was the manga at in 2004?
Oh man, I don't know how to look that up.
If you just do like a brief one.
Okay.
Okay, this is going to require too much research. My question was going to be, had they gotten far enough in the manga that Akainu was a character in the manga by the time this came out in the anime?
I doubt that he had been mentioned. Although it's entirely possible that the title Akainu was mentioned. We'll get there. We'll talk about it.
You have to remember that the purpose of filler is to allow the manga to get ahead.
Yeah.
So if they were doing this filler arc, it's because the manga they were running out of manga to adapt.
I mean, they could have done it preemptively too, to give themselves more buffer. Like, I don't know how far along they were planning, right? But if they maybe were like, well, our planning says in 2 years we're going to catch up with them, so we should stick some more filler in here.
They create and release the episodes every week on a week-to-week basis, and so I don't know that they plan ahead that way. But maybe.
fascinating questions that I don't know are really going to be that interesting of a conversation, right? We can look up and figure out with a magnifying glass, okay, episode 2, 1, 2, but I think that they probably talked to Oda, and Oda was like, these things are going to be important.
Yes.
You should put them in there.
If you have the answers to these questions, you can tweet us.
Tweet us or Gmail us or no, I think those are. You can also shout on the top of your favorite rooftop, and we might hear you. Chances are we won't, though.
Depends on the location of the
Depends
rooftop.
on the location. How loud can you yell? What are the weather conditions like? If it's thundering, it's going to be really hard to hear you.
Are you a laden or unladen swallow?
Anyway, so we were talking about reasons that it's canon. We talked about Akainu.
Mhm.
Joel, do you want to kind of take over the mystery man repairing the ship bit?
I mean, I don't really know how much we need to go into it, but you do remember that scene on Sky Island, do you not?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. That is important for reasons that will become very relevant soon. I also want to take this moment, I think I've already said this on mic, but just to make sure, the Sky Island arc, it's this big thing, you know, they fight God of all people, they have an arc that's filler, but then even in the manga, the next arc is not really big picture type stuff. It's a little bit more like
Narrow focus.
it's a what would you call that? It's like a pit stop along the way.
Okay.
So not the next arc, which is pretty short, but the one after that is the next like world building huge one. What was I saying? Oh, and the thing that Usopp saw is going to be brought up in that big arc.
Yeah.
And it's relevant, and it's interesting that they reminded the viewer, kind of like looked at the camera and said, "Hey, remember this scene? It was a pretty
Nudge,
interesting
nudge.
scene."
Yes, and Macau was saying, I guess he never really finished explaining,
He
did
couldn't
he?
finish explaining because it's canon, but
Yeah,
he
he-
knew what it was. He's like, "Hey, let me tell you." Oh no!
But he was like, wow, your ship is so well taken care of. Did you see a mystery person repairing it?
Was it late at night with mist? So apparently this is a
Yeah.
phenomenon. It's not specific to...
I wish all filler arcs were like this, because it's useful, because you can drop a little bit of world building, you can remind people of things that are going to be relevant soon, and it's still interesting to watch.
Yeah, you can have a fun time with it.
Yeah, as opposed to like some filler that we've gotten where it was uninteresting, had no relevant information in it whatsoever,
Mhm.
and it was like, I could see if Oda was directly involved in this one, if he was more directly involved in some of the other ones, it could be a lot better.
Yeah, I still am holding out for my Kobe's side story adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for that to be filler, because then it could also be canon, just not like it didn't make it into the manga.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's time to go into our world-famous ad segment. Welcome to Part 8 of Plorgsma Blorbs and the Adventure of Blorf. As we know, Blorf has long fought a war against the various colors of the universe. He has vanquished blue, he has killed green, and he pit purple and yellow against each other in a war that will never end. How devious. But now that a new color, an unknown color, has begun to infect the land, how will anyone survive? Yes, Blorf will have to turn to the majestic shapes of ancient year, the triangle, the mighty circle, and the rhombus, in order to face the new pigment, whose name is so unknowable the human mind cannot process it. But you, being a reader and needing something to refer to it as, it is referred to as...
That's spelled just how it sounds.
It's spelled phonetically, yes. So now, check out this adventure, and you won't want to miss the thrilling conclusion to the Rainbow Wars. So yeah, that's the book. That's the
Blorb
next.
has really been hitting it out of the park with these recent chapters.
Yeah, you know, his style has really evolved, you know? At the beginning, he had, like, these weird, like, time ascending comic strips that, like, would come out of order and, like, into your mind and be projected up on the large cinema screen, and it was like a scavenger hunt to find all the panels. But now he's found a way to make all of that compelling narrative in the form of a single webcomic. You know, strip or whatever. So, Catherine, what were some of your highlights from these chapters?
I really liked how he had the chance to slay Red, but his heart was gripped by a sudden, unforeseen wave of compassion, and he had to let Red go. Like, you know that that's coming back. Red is going to return with some of the other unknowable colors, like orange and silver, and they're just going to take Blorf down, and that will be his undoing, that he allowed his heart to overshadow his rational mind.
Of course. So now, Curtis, you have the advanced copy of Part 9, the penultimate adventure of Blorf. What can you tell our listeners to whet their appetites?
So, after completing the battle against the colors with his shape comrades, he finds himself at the head of a new government over the universe, led by shapes. And slowly, it is drifting to a more and more oppressive regime. And he is struggling with the need to keep the peace, but with the his compassion for his subjects, and trying to find a balance that will also allow him to stay in power. It's full of political intrigue. It's full of interesting, thought-provoking ideas. It'll be very much worth your time.
Wow, this sounds incredible. And as we all know, each of these individual parts have really all been part of the same journey, so it should be interesting to see how 9 sets up the final chapter, in the final journey, I guess I should say. So that's Plorbs Mablorbs and the Adventure of Blorf. Remember, if you want to obtain your copy today, you need to walk to the nearest crossroads. You need to throw a bucket of sugar into the air, and you need to declare, "I am the Sugar Plum King." And then, 3 days later, your chapter will arrive in the mail, despite being an online webcomic. As opposed to an offline webcomic. Those we just refer to as comics.
That's correct.
Okay.
And don't forget to donate and subscribe to his Ko-fi and Patreon, which you can find by translating the ancient runes into readable human text.
Take the unknowable color's name and just reverse it, but then also pitch it up like half an octave. And that's your offer code, and that's also how you can access his Patreon.
Perfect.
So, thank you, wonderful listeners, for supporting our good friend of the podcast, Plorbs Mablorbs. Okay, so we already kind of skipped to the end here when we were talking about Akainu and the
Whether
mystery,
it's filler or not.
the mystery ship repairman and all this other good stuff. But we forgot to kind of cover what I see as sort of the second half of this arc. It starts off, crew separated, they have to try to get, they have to escape arrest, they have to escape the base, they have to get the Mary. And then they realize they don't have the gold. And also Nami forgot her waiver. She's going to need that in regular canon. So they have to go back and find it. And this leads to the great gold heist and waiver recovery operations.
Now, folks, I think I've mentioned this on mic before, but if you didn't know this about me, I like heist movies and heist stories. I like them a great deal. And so this was actually my favorite, segment of the arc. Was them trying to figure out, okay, how do we get the gold, and how are we going to split up, and what's our plan? They didn't do a lot of traditional heist movie planning. They just sort of stumbled along, but it was still nice.
Yeah, and they never had a moment where they tricked the bad guy in any way, shape, or form, And so, yeah, it's closest to a heist that we've seen so far. I wouldn't say that it quite scratches my itch, or what I would want in a heist.
Oh yeah, if I want to watch a One Piece heist setup, I'm going to go watch Film Gold.
Absolutely. All right, Curtis, what was your thoughts on these episodes?
You mean on
the gold heist section?
The gold heist section. Okay, I was going to say.
What was your opinion on Film Gold, which is A, way farther in continuity than you've gotten, and B, you haven't seen in I want to say a year and a half?
And C, not episodes.
No.
Although there was a filler tie-in episode that was like a prequel called Heart of Gold or something.
Yeah, there was also a filler arc that was the plot of Film Gold, but about a man with silver powers. So that's funny.
Oh.
Yeah, cool. Anyways, Curtis.
Yes.
Gold heist.
Gold heist.
And waiver recovery.
The waiver recovery went pretty smooth.
Yeah, there it is.
Sanji was annoying.
Yeah, Sanji was annoying in a lot of this. They kind of really played up his whole, his
horny on main.
Yeah.
He was fine in the kitchen. He liked Jessica, but he wasn't as obnoxious about it. He wasn't like, I want to touch her with my cooking utensils of love, or whatever weird thing he would say. But him getting all excited about, I get to be behind Nami, ooh, it was bad.
Yeah.
As someone whose favorite character is Sanji, and we're actually coming up on some great episodes as to why, this was the most annoying he's been so far in the series, where we are. And I don't even understand the point, because it's just random filler background bullshit. His shouting doesn't alert the guards. His wanting to protect her doesn't come into play, doesn't attack anyone. He literally could have stayed on the ship and had the same impact as her going on her own.
Yeah, and later she does tell him, like, stay here.
Yeah.
Stay with Chopper. I've had enough
take
of
a
you.
cold shower. You've had enough, Sanji.
They left Chopper alone on the ship again.
Again. And he even points it out. He's like, why? Does this
Like,
keep happening?
stop leaving the baby on the ship. But honestly, I've been thinking about it, and I think the problem is that the writers don't know what to do with Chopper.
Yeah, he already did his medical stuff.
Yeah, unless he has a very specific role to fill in a given situation, what's the point of him being there? So it's easier to just leave him on the ship, because he doesn't have as much utility as the other characters.
He doesn't use the rumble balls nearly as much as I thought he would. I thought when he joined the crew, I thought, okay, this is another, like, very strong character. And he just doesn't do much.
No, that's the problem, I think, with a lot of shows, as well as One Piece, is that characters who are introduced will be very strong at one point, but then later you'll be like, well, isn't this kind of similar? Can't you just do that thing? They're like, sorry, boss. I only have the one Rumble Ball scene where it's, like, super awesome. The rest of the time...
Yeah.
But, yeah, they didn't... I like a lot of these episodes. I like the characters of G-8 better than I like the Straw Hats in these episodes. I like the Straw Hats as just a way of meeting these other characters.
Yeah.
Can we actually chat about the supporting characters of this arc for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got Makao, who is the ship
mechanic guy, the old guy.
ship mechanic who loves boats, and we've got his daughter, Dr. Kabuto.
Yes.
And
I wanted to correct you, and I was like, she's the granddaughter. No, he's just drawn to look very old, and he's sick, apparently.
Yeah, and then we've got Jonathan and Commander Drake, and we've got the staff in the kitchen. So who was your guys' favorite supporting character in these arcs?
Does Jonathan count as a supporting character?
I'd say so.
I like
Not a main Straw Hat.
I like Jonathan.
Jonathan is great, and I love him. When I said that this is the filler arc that holds up, there are some pacing issues. There are characters who are kind of pointless in certain scenes, but Jonathan is the reason why I remember this arc so vividly and why I love it. That scene where he's on the ship and he goes, okay, there's seven teacups, so there's 7 members, and let's see, we have some history books, okay, so probably historian, and okay, the kitchen's well tended. He's just able to do so much, that Sherlock Holmes level of stuff.
It's nice to finally see a competent Marine.
Yes.
Because you start to think, like, why are they hiring all of these terrible people? Are the only competent people in the world pirates? No, that can't be true, because Luffy is a pirate. That was a joke. Luffy's very competent.
They ran into the Spaceballs problem.
Yes, exactly. Or I was going to say Star Wars, where all of the stormtroopers are just basically useless. So,
hey, Finn's a stormtrooper, isn't he?
No, he quit.
He was, though, is the thing.
He wasn't good at it.
Okay, perfect.
And he's not very good at not being a stormtrooper either. Like, I feel like he gets into a lot of trouble.
This is not a Star Wars podcast.
Real quick, have you heard the theory about in episode 4, the reason the stormtroopers kept missing at them when they were in the hall? Yeah, because they were trying to get them to escape and lead them to the rebels.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
But they also miss in every other episode, so it's like,
I like the psychological theory where it's very easy to shoot somebody if you can't see their face, but if you can, there's like an emotional component, but they're clones. Anyway, this is not a Star Wars podcast.
They're not clones anymore. Let's continue with
They
One
were
Piece.
when that movie came out.
No, they
Guys,
Oh, yeah.
let's move on.
I know, I said let's move on. You were
Jonathan
getting to it.
is great. And also, not just the fact that he's, like, super smart, but also the fact that he's, like, this laid-back guy. You don't really get that in the Marines. Kind of. There's an asterisk. You will see some
you get some lazy Marines, but you don't get Marines who are both competent and relaxed.
and laid back, yeah. But I love that he always has these plans, and he's always just like, yeah, of course, I'm going to take their gold and stick it in my room. I know they'll get here somehow. I don't know how, but we'll find them.
I also appreciated that he didn't want to arrest all of them. He wanted to be like, now swear off your pirating ways, and we'll only take the ones with bounties.
Well, he was like he is the first Marine higher up person that I've seen who is what I would imagine from like a good law enforcement person, right?
Yes.
Like he only cares about the ones who are actually like designated
Wanted.
as criminals.
Mhm.
He'll let the rest go. He never gets like upset with his underlings, even when they fail. Because I mean, well, one, he has like an overarching plot, and he's like, it's okay that you failed. But he's still, even when they fail at the end, he's not like a lot of the other Marine people would blame their subordinates and would punish them for stuff. But he doesn't do that. He's like, well, we did our best.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one question that we ask about villains is how many Buggies or Bellamy's in the Grand Line can they take in a fight? I don't think Buggy could survive against Jonathan. I think Jonathan's too smart. Buggy would immediately get captured and be like, oh no!
The real villain of this arc was Condoriano. And the answer to how many Buggies or how many Bellamy's could Condoriano take? 0.
Yeah.
None. Not a single one.
I think Jonathan could not take Buggy one-on-one in a fight. But with his Marine base apparatus around him, he could definitely take him on.
Okay, so long as they're within his territory that he knows so very well and he has home team advantage.
I just realized why I like Jonathan so much.
Yeah?
He reminds me of Captain Picard.
Oh, nice!
He's very much like, he can delegate work responsibilities. He, works as a team. He's a very good leader.
My favorite thing about Jonathan, well, I shouldn't say favorite. A thing that I like about Jonathan, now that I'm thinking about it, is he consistently didn't want to eat his vegetables. Like, that's such a little boy thing to say.
Yes.
Like, I'm not so fond of the peppers and carrots, honey,
Oh
but
my
I'll eat all my
God.
food.
And his cordial, like, Luffy and Nami break in through the balcony window, not through the door to his room, and he seems surprised. Also, the Waver can go up walls, and I really don't think that's canon. I think that's a filler, like, came out of nowhere, necessity. But anyways, they break in, and he's just like, huh, I didn't expect you to come up here. And they're like, where's the gold? Are you hiding it? And he just goes, it's right there. There it is. It's the real gold. You can look at it. Welcome to Marine Base. I haven't met you, young lady. How are you? He's just so polite.
Yes. Oh, and I think a really good moment was his, at 9 p.m., the waters of Navarone will
Show
bare their
teeth.
fangs.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's so good.
If only they didn't have a flying ship. And they would have been stuck and his plan would have worked. How could he have foreseen that the people who came from the sky could fly away?
Well, he even mentions that, too.
He did foresee that. You're right. And it's still... Oh, because Condoriano blew
screwed
up
it
the
up.
cannon.
Yeah, because they would have shot him down.
Nice
God.
job, Condoriano.
I hate him. Like, I just hate him with a passion. And it's like, you have to try to make a character that hateable. And god dang, did they succeed with him.
He was my favorite.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're gonna be the biggest Commander Shepard fan?
Yeah, look up at the ceiling above you, Joel. There's a poster of him right there.
Oh, there is, yeah.
I felt bad for Jessica because I felt like we were introduced to her as she's this supremely confident chef, but then this other person comes into her kitchen and impresses all of her underlings, and she's just kind of like left in the dust.
Yeah, some throwaway line about maybe like she was once great and she lost confidence or she lost sight of something. Like I agree that she was a little downplayed, even though it would have been cool if she had been an equal.
I did like at the end, both her and Jonathan did not like Shepard.
Yeah. I don't think anyone liked Shepard. I think he just had enough clout.
Yeah, so she finally goes up and punches him in the face.
Which was beautiful. She'll probably get court-martialed for that. But
I think because her husband's higher up, and I think some of that won't get reported.
Yeah. It's entirely possible they just chuck him off the side of the building and be like, I don't know, the pirates took care of him.
Crabs must have... The crab came back.
The weird crab from Usopp's village. It made it past the reverse mountain. It's been on this journey along with them.
It rode on the
gone
back
through
of Sea Kings to get here.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love that. If anybody listening to this wants to send in fan art of a crab riding a sea king, I will shake your hand.
I will, if you will let me, I will make that my Twitter picture. If you send me a picture of that crab epically riding the back of a Sea King, holding
my
one of
God.
its claws up in victory.
Oh my goodness.
Speaking of beautiful imagery, though, there's the scene near the end when it's time for the Straw Hats to make their escape, and Jonathan's on like the intercom or whatever, and is like, "We're gonna take you out." It's all the Marine lights on, on the base, and it's at night, and Luffy is facing them down on the ship, and if you go to the wiki, it's the picture they use for the G-8 arc page. It's just beautiful. Hang on, I'm gonna take like half a second.
Boop, 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 boop. Technical difficulties.
This is the waiting song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Luffy's defiant spirit summed up in one picture.
If you go online to the YouTubes, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's this program. But anyways, you can find videos that are about how Luffy's a legend in the making, which I think is a reason why I like One Piece better than other manga, because I don't feel as though necessarily all protagonists are going to become legends. I feel like they have their own story, sure, but like Luffy's journey really feels...
Luffy is a legend in the making, or I think your favorite thing about My Hero is that the first episode ends with, this is the story of how I became the greatest hero of all time.
Yeah, so my point is that this shot of Luffy facing down a Marine base, of the lights on and him being like, I'm gonna take you all on, and you don't see any of the other Straw Hats in the shot, which I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but there's just something about it. It exudes big Luffy energy.
Yeah, so I like it a lot.
I need to gush about that for a second.
Big Luffy energy.
Bleh.
Luffy?
Luffy energy. Biluffy.
Bloofy energy. Bloofergy.
Bilufergy. It's that feeling when you stand up and think, I'm going to defeat everybody, even though you have no justification for that belief.
It's that feeling when you stand up and declare, the government is a scam.
And also, I want meat.
Yeah, I was about to say, I brought meat and I'm ready to punch God. Okay. We are getting towards the end of our episode, so does anyone else have any kind of final thoughts on these episodes?
Yes. So one thing that I thought this did really well that allowed them to explore the other characters more was scenes that had Luffy in it, they would often sideline him.
Yes, he was too hungry or he was trapped.
Yeah. So it was a lot of Sea Prism Stone. That happened 3 different times. Sea Prism Stone weakened him. Twice with Annette.
Yes. That was just so good.
Who's Annette? I'm sorry.
You're Annette. That's your new name.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, it was a good way to go about setting up the storyline so that we could see the other characters thrive in different situations.
Yeah, it's like, I believe it was Arlong Park when you mentioned it, but Luffy not being part of the crew and just like running around kind of doing his own thing. It works to small degrees. You don't want the entire series to be that, but let the crew be competent without their idiot captain. Let Luffy have a goofy adventure and then meet up and do the final battle at that point. They also sidelined Zoro. I don't think he had a single moment in these episodes where I could really be like, oh, that was a Zoro moment.
He just kind of, he was either in jail or he was letting, say, Chopper do Chopper's thing.
The only time I think we saw him fight was on the bridge, which I realized we haven't talked about at all.
Oh yeah, that's the special, like the
the hot-blooded Marines.
Yes,
that was the only real fight scene we had in this arc too.
Yep, I would say so. I mean, I kind of dislike how they got Luffy out of the way and Zoro out of the way. I feel like they would, like, Luffy is capable of dodging those nets.
It was a little contrived.
Yeah.
But I do agree with your sentiment that he doesn't need to necessarily be the hero of every scene.
Yeah.
We have the big final battles for those.
I just remembered one of the best gifts that the One Piece community passes around a lot is Luffy following this Marine around and giving the peace sign to the camera. We finally saw the episode that gif was from.
My gosh,
that was so funny.
And then Sanji being like, he has no sense of tension. Thank you, Sanji.
That's like the kind of Wile E. Coyote Looney Tunes logic that Luffy can only do in the filler episodes, but it was so good.
It was perfect.
I have one final thought as well for these kind of overarching episodes that has to do with like sidelining characters or characters maybe not being very smart. There's an awful lot of like, could this be a trap? Oh, it might be a trap, but let's go. And I just want to say that I think even one of the times Robin was involved, that is not how Robin would go about things.
Not at all. She'd be kind of angry about it and pensive and should we really be doing this? We should consider a plan. Luffy doesn't care. It's 100% in character for Luffy to go, it's a trap, let's go!
Yeah.
He wouldn't even stand there to listen to Nami or Robin's explanation of why it was a trap. He would already be gone.
That's true. And Zoro is also definitely the type to be like, who cares what they throw at us? I'll just cut through them or whatever. But a lot of the other members were just a little bit too like, oh, if it's a trap, what can we do? I don't know. Split up, have one person go in and spring the trap, have the other people come. Just something, man. Especially way later in One Piece, like current in the manga One Piece, is very good at, like, we're facing a serious threat. We need to take it seriously. So it's kind of spoiled me. So to see these, like, lackadaisical, like, we'll be fine. But sometimes you kind of need to think a little bit about your actions. And that has been your...
Doot. Final thought. Outro goes here. Condoriano's marine tip of the day. Does it really matter which way your bazooka is pointing if your heart was in the right place?
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod, KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.